speaking of my dad, another topic that my dad and I have been discussing a lot is the idea of past lives. And we actually talk beyond past life because there's so many different ways that hypnosis can take us, right? And my dad usually is known in the Korean community for past life regressions because why? It's so easy to be sensationalized by the media, right? So my dad made a lot of TV appearances, and uh, the we have popular streamers like Mr. Beast and things like that, right? So Korea has its own version of Mr. Beast and other popular YouTubers and streamers, so to speak, and they're one of the very ongoing popular content for these streamers is to do a past life regression with my dad because again, my dad is just kind of known for that, and so people really contact my dad interested in those types of sessions, but that's not the whole thing. And some other possibilities are like experiencing what it's like to be in the womb again, right? When this life just started, and you hear your own heartbeat just kind of emerging, and you feel like that warm embrace of your mother, like in the body and things like this. Also possible to traverse between lives, right? So after one life ended and after this life, that sort of blank space. Another one is like a soul mission regression, which is basically going to the starting point of your soul. And there's also spirit releasement, and all these different things are in my dad's toolbox. But, not really interested in arguing about whether these are real or not, right? Because that's not really the point. The point is that when you watch a movie, you may be moved, but there's this sense of it's a vicarious experience. Now, depending on the cinematography, depending on the storytelling, you may really resonate with it, right? And you may be deeply moved. And now, what is that really deeply moved feeling? That deeply moved feeling comes from when you experience the same thing as what's being on the screen, right? When it's so like immersive. When you go through those kinds of cinematic experiences, it's like, oh, you didn't watch a movie, you just had a life event, right? And so that's why when you walk out of the cinema, not you, this is my personal experience. Walk out of the cinema after watching Transformers, like it just feels like every car in the parking lot's just gonna suddenly transform. And when you watch an action movie, you want to like beat people up. Like I remember watching Captain Marvel and thinking I'm just gonna soar up into the sky and like destroy alien ships and things like that. Anyway, beside the point. Past life, regardless of whether it's real or not, gives you that first person experience into this really strong narrative inside of your unconscious, right? So, I may tell you, do you really want to be spending the rest of your life worrying about things and never reaching your full possibility range of things that can happen in your life? Do you want to stay sheltered? Do you want to continue living life like this? And then a client may be like, no, I don't want to, but I'm just so scared. I don't know I just don't know how to break through it. Now, I can give them hints of like, think about the time you're about to be like 60 years old, 70 years old, and you're gonna have so many regrets, and I could, lead them to kind of consider those possibilities. But as long as they're kind of still in the mind box of I'm in this life and, like I'm still 20 something, I'm still 30 something, I'm still 30 something, and everything's so scary, then we can't really focus on the bigger picture of like, what am I going to do with my life outside of this box of fear and limitations, right? And so this is why it's so important to do these types of past life regressions, because past life regressions can take you to your past life when you were dying, right? When you lived a life that was so limiting, you get to sense this like great anguish and agony over, oh my god, this life I received from my past life and I'm just spending it like this, and then it becomes a first person experience. It's just so real. You get to experience this deep shift, right? And that's the value of these sessions, regardless of what type of regression it is. And that's the really powerful thing with my dad, right? My dad has sessions like maybe 3 times max with the person, because why? He deals with the unconscious. And when the unconscious is shifted, you don't really need a lot of things else, right? So when you can shift from, oh my god, I'm so hurt and everything is working against me and I'm powerless and everything fucking sucks and when you go from there, from your unconscious, when you shift, then you can start working with someone like me to do the coaching part, right? Okay, so now I find myself having full access of the motherboard of my mind. So now how do I want to live, like, how do I want to live with this full capacity? What possibilities do I want to consider? What possibilities don't serve me anymore? So those are some things you can work with someone like me over an extended period of time. But in my practice, I also happen to be spending a lot of time with clients just resolving and overcoming past issues and trying to sort of more or less heal from these things, right? I don't really use that terminology anymore because in the Buddhist framework, there is nothing to heal from. So I'm trying to get clients to that state first, and then we can actually get to the coaching part. And so the coaching industry as a whole has this idea that, things have to be 6-month packages, 3-month packages, and things like that. I think 6-month, 3-month, like longer term packages are good because we can grow together, right? I can track the progress of a client's life as they go through these changes. But that kind of paradigm tends to limit us in thinking sessions have to be long. Sessions have to be prolonged. Sessions have to take like multiple months. And my dad's approach of dealing with the unconscious directly can tell you, no, shift can absolutely happen in just one session. And and the people who are kind of having the sessions with my dad in America, they're getting to experience these things. That's sort of my general, assessment of the value of past life regressions and hypnosis and unconscious work in general. But at the same time, I also get to think a lot about, my past life experiences that I've had with my dad when I was a kid, right? And some of the ones I remember are like when my dad was my child. Some of the other ones are around my phobia and like my dislike of things. And some of them are around this like really feeling of deep loneliness that I felt. And those things all I just remember in one life. I remember crying so hard because it was so sad how I was dying. I was so alone, I was so sick, and all I really wanted was this like one person to just come and, not even be at my bedside. If one person just cared about me enough to know that I was dying, I existed and I'm dying, then I feel like, oh man, I just wish I could have at least that. But then nobody did. And that was just so sad to me, right? And I'm getting to sort of redigest my past life regressions and what they meant to me at the time and what they mean to me right now. But, across all the past life experiences that I have had, and also like the ones that are documented in my dad's case studies on YouTube and things like that, so many of them are related to being indigenous people. Not just in the Americas, but, because it's the past life, it's all about like when your relationship with the land, when your relationship with people were a lot purer than right now. And I keep thinking about what that core difference is. Is it like the environment? Is it, the people? Are they somehow better in the past? And the conclusion that I'm sort of getting at right at this moment is it just has so much to do with people's relationship to money. When you're indigenous, when you're in the olden times, and when you're living in the tribal life, or I don't know, maybe a kingdom or a serfdom, in those times life is a lot simpler. Yeah, you can be jealous of the next person's field and the cows that they have and things like that, but it doesn't get to define your overall life goal. Your life won't catastrophically be damaged if you never get the chance to have that cow, right? But things are different these days. So many avenues of happiness feel like they're gate kept by money. And so many of our desires, so many of the things that get to determine whether we're happy or not are relating to money. And for example, even I wanted just a few years ago, right, a lot of luxury things in my life. And as I practiced my detachment from these things as a practicing Buddhist, and I get to hear my clients, what they wish in life, what they want in life, and things like that. And so many people ask me, right, but I want these things. Doesn't everybody want these things? And they're right, everybody does want these things. And it's not really like an inherent problem. But I think the question is worth asking. Would I want that thing if money didn't even exist? Would I want that thing if people with more money than me had that? Or, I should say, would I want that thing if people with more money than me didn't want that? Right? Because a lot of my desires are modeled on people with more money's desires. So is it even my desire? Do I really, really want that? Or is it the money just talking in my brain saying, you want that, man? That's the next progression in your happiness. And I think that's sort of the question that we need to periodically ask ourselves. Is this desire making me happy? Is this desire giving me more meaning in my life? Or is it just robbing me from the opportunity to just live today as a sovereign, independent, free human being?